Hey Flosstube, my name is Allie and this is Allie Stitches. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. You are always welcome here. And yeah, if you're returning, thanks for coming back. And yeah, I recognize, I'm sure you do as well, that it's been a minute. If you're like just now catching or just now watching like all of my videos, you might not quite notice the break, but today is January 10th, 2022, and my last video was I think at the end of February of 2021. So it's been a little over 10 months. I only had posted like 5 videos at that time anyway, and about 3 weeks apart each. So yeah, 10-month break is definitely not common for my channel. So this is Flosstube episode number 6. And I'm so happy to be back, so happy to be jumping back into it, and definitely don't plan on being gone that long again. But yeah, so today I really just want to like dive into, the stitching, but I do want to kind of give a brief explanation, I guess, of where I was, what happened over the last 10 months. Nothing bad, all kind of just good, busy stuff, but I figured I owed it to you guys to just kind of give a brief update about that. And then I figured I'd talk about my stitching and what I've been up to. I do have some plans for 2022, so I thought I'd kind of go through those, just briefly show some of the few projects that I have finished since my last video, and then maybe save a lot of, just kind of a lot of details about things, or certain projects or certain things that I might save for future videos, just to try to keep this one remotely short, just with all the catching up that I have to do. So definitely grab a drink, grab a snack, whatever. I have some tea here, so I will be drinking that. And yeah, I have not done the timestamps on the videos before, where you can like kind of specifically skip ahead to certain sections. So I'm going to try to figure that out with this video, so that, if you don't care about where I've been, what I've been up to, you can definitely feel free to skip right to the stitching. But if you want to kind of hear, I guess, where I've been, then you can watch this part too. So, yeah, the long story short of it, or the short version of where I was that 2021 was just a very busy year for me. And unfortunately, stitching kind of took a back seat for a little bit, and just time got away from me, and I lost the stitchy bug a little bit, and that's okay. I'm back in it now, and I am really sad that I was gone that long, but yeah, definitely happy to be back. The little bit longer version of the story, I guess, involves a few kind of bigger things that happened in 2021. So yeah, I'll kind of go over those kind of 2 main things. So one of them, if you kind of recall from my past videos, I mentioned that I am an actuary. That is my my career, my job. Yeah, I'm an actuary. And if you're not familiar with what an actuary is, it's kind of a profession that is pretty specific to like the insurance and financial services industry. We, as actuaries, our profession is centered around evaluating and assessing risk. Not always, but specifically, or usually financial risk. So that's why with insurance, it's a very important kind of profession for that industry, with the risk that's associated there. So with the actuarial profession, there are a long series of exams that actuaries go through to get kind of their full credentials. And I don't know off the top of my head the average length of time that someone takes to take these exams, but for me, maybe being slightly faster than the average, it took me about 10 years to get through this entire exam process. I started taking exams my second semester of college, so my second semester of freshman year of college, and this last year I finished up the very last exam and the very last requirements to become a fully credentialed actuary, and I no longer have to take exams anymore. So from a timing perspective, last spring about when I filmed my last Flosstube, I was really starting to ramp up my studying for my final exam. That was to be the first week of May. And I had started studying really in January, with kind of slowly ramping up in February. March was really going to start getting busier, and I knew that I was going to be busy. I knew I wasn't going to be able to stitch as much, but I definitely had every intention of continuing to stitch as a way to relax and continuing to post Flosstube videos, just as a way to kind of distract myself from the studying process leading up to my exam. Maybe would have posted a little less often, obviously wouldn't have gotten as much stitching done, but still had every intention of doing that. So I'll maybe get to why that wasn't really the case here in a minute. But to finish that, the progression, I guess, of what happened. So I took my exam in May. I found out in the middle of July that I passed that exam. It was my last exam. I was done with the exam. I had some additional requirements. So on top of the exams, they have some like online courses. They call them modules, but it's like an online course where you do some reading and you do kind of like a project and write a paper kind of associated with it. It's just another way of testing you on the knowledge and skills that you learned kind of throughout this entire larger exam process. So I had some of those to work on, and I had to get those submitted by like the middle of August. So I did that. It's a very busy month between when I found out that I passed and when I had to submit all of that stuff by. And then kind of the final task was the beginning of December. I went to what was called the Fellowship and Missions course for to become a fellow of the Society of Actuaries, which is the credentialing organization that I am associated with. And it was a 2-day course that mostly centered around ethics, but I also had to like give a presentation at it. And at the very end of those 2 days, we had like a graduation ceremony where I got to walk across stage and be handed my diploma or my certificate that stated that I was a fellow of the Society of Actuaries. So I had some preparation kind of in advance of that course to do as well, like preparing my presentation. And there was a little bit of some online, again, kind of another module that was a lot easier because it was mostly just about ethics, but some work around that as well. So that was kind of one thing that really happened in 2021. Like I said, that was the end of a 10-year journey for me. So it was, definitely a big focus of mine. I spent a lot of energy, had a lot of pressure, especially with that exam, to just get it done, be done with it all. So that took up a lot of my, mental energy and just, kind of kept me busy in 2021 as well. The other thing that happened in 2021 that, definitely kind of put stitching on a hold was we moved houses. We stayed in the same city. We're still in the Des Moines, Iowa metro area, but we actually moved 3 miles away from one house to a new house. And really this all kind of happened while I was studying for that exam that I was talking about. So back in March, I was really starting to ramp up the exam the studying for the exam, and we saw this house that I'm sitting in now. We saw this house come on the market, and if y'all know anything about how the 2021 housing market looked, you won't be surprised that within a week, we went from seeing the house like on Zillow or wherever to being pending on this house and have our house that we were selling pending as well. So it was like, saw the house online, called a realtor, got a tour, got pre-approved for a loan or, for a bigger loan, I guess. Put in the offer, had the offer accepted, but then we made it like contingent on, selling our existing house. So then we had to, not being prepared at all to sell our house. We had to go from like 0 to 100, cleaning the house, getting it prepped, had the, photographer take pictures, and then the house went live on like a Tuesday morning at like 7:30. And by like 5 o'clock that night, we had accepted an offer with like multiple options to choose from. So that'll happen in like a week's time. And so that was just a really crazy week, and that really kind of like kick-started the the hiatus that I had to take from stitching in general, and then, you know, the hiatus that I took from filming Flosstube videos. So during that week, I got behind on studying, so I was, you know, getting behind on studying, and then on top of that, you know, we had a move coming up that we were, you know, kind of preparing for. So my exam was the first week of May, and then we were planning to move the following week. Or, you know, we moved the following week, I guess. Plans didn't change or anything. But those 2 months really were kind of crazy. And between, you know, studying and packing and just kind of preparing for the move, you know, I used those two things to help kind of distract, or, you know, used one to help me distract from the other. So I was able to kind of balance, and kind of, you know, just get that variety. And so even while, you know, I was planning to use stitching as a distraction from studying, you know, packing kind of became my distraction. And then if I got overwhelmed with packing, I would, you know, get my study stuff, get to a coffee shop, and just kind of focus on that for a while. And so that kind of helped me. And I really I had to set stitching aside because even though I, you know, technically would have had some time to carve out for it, it just was a big distraction in terms of, you know, looking at patterns, looking at, you know, watching Flosstube, and it just became, you know, we all know the obsession that it can be, right? So just needing to kind of distance myself away from it just to avoid distractions that I knew I just didn't have, you know, significant time to dedicate to. So, that happened. So then we moved in May, and, you know, the rest of the year, you know, I explained kind of the additional exam stuff that I had to work on, or, you know, that kind of prepared me for that journey. But, you know, additionally, we were just really busy. We got vaccinated earlier, you know, kind of when we were able to in that April to May time frame. So just kind of being able to do more things, just more things were going on. We had so many weekends were busy in like the summer and the fall, and, you know, things opening up and stuff like that. And so we just got busy. And then, you know, I think quite frankly, I did just lose the stitchy bug. And so, you know, even when I did try to stitch, sometimes I would get some projects out, or, you know, I kind of created a stitchy spot for myself here at the new house. But I found that I wasn't, you know, reaching for my stitching all the time, or if I did, I would work on it a little bit, and, you know, that was fine. I didn't kind of it wasn't like being pulled back to it a lot like I thought I might have once things kind of settled down. But then we were, you know, just really busy too. So, you know, I don't know exactly what happened to get me back to here where I am today. But I've been stitching a lot more in the last few weeks, and I've been trying to catch up on Flosstube, and it's just so fun to catch up on Flosstube. I'm really trying to watch all the videos from anyone that I was like completely caught up with prior to all this. I'm really trying to watch like everybody, you know, all of their videos, watching on that 1.5 speed just to like get through them a little bit quicker. Make sure I'm hearing everybody's life updates and getting to see their stitching. You know, I might miss, you know, a detail or two here or there, but it's just great to kind of be back in this world and see, you know, I'm at that point now where I'm like listening to everybody's like Stitch Mania or Stitch Sania plans from last year, and that's just, it's fun. So yeah, I have a lot of catching up to do. I don't know exactly what's going on in everybody's lives, but I am so excited to keep watching and keep hearing. But I thought I'd make a video while I'm thinking of it. You know, this isn't my ideal setup. I'm in my living room right now. I'd love to get my office like actually better organized. It's taking me forever to just like really get the motivation and my head in the right organization space to get everything like cleaned up and everything. But I'd love to get my office in a condition where I can, you know, film my Flosstubes in there and feel like it's actually like a great background and everything. It's just not there yet. But here we are. I didn't want anything to stop me anymore. I have a ring light now, so even if it's night out, I can still film, which is, you know, good too. Because if I had to wait until I had like, you know, good day, you know, it's like that time of the year where it's dark, like at 5 o'clock. So if I had to wait, or if I had to make sure that I had sunlight to film, I'm sure I wouldn't get out and around to Flosstubing as much either. So happy to be back. Let's just dive right in. So now that we're back, now that we're in the stitching, so I want to go through some of the finishes that I have had since my last video, which was the end of February. I don't have very many actually. It's technically 4 finishes, kind of 3, but one I was really close to, kind of, you know, back in that last video. I went back and watched kind of most of it to remember what I had even said or what I had talked about. Yeah, so I'll go through those few finishes, and I'll maybe get into a little more detail there, just because I don't expect to talk about those much kind of past this video. But then I'll talk about my 2022 goals and what I have going on there. And most of that, you know, all those goals, I'm participating in WIPGO 2022. So all my goals are kind of related to that, at least for the time being, until, you know, I get truly back into the groove of things. So yeah, I'll be showing pretty much all of my other WIPs. I'll be showing by going through that. So I'll just kind of do that. It's, you know, it's kind of like a WIP parade, but I don't really have that many WIPs anyway right now. And then, yeah, I'll use, you know, future videos to really get into more of the weeds about the specific projects, but I'll just kind of go over like a high level plan for right now. So in terms of my finishes, which I have my computer here, so I'm gonna kind of get it logged back in again here, pull up my spreadsheet just to keep myself organized. So I did have a finish actually like the beginning of March last year, and I was getting ready to film another Flosstube kind of in those weeks when all this kind of house stuff started going down, and I had to like just kind of stop altogether. But I did have a finish kind of before that. I just hadn't had a floss tube yet. So this was the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Hello Dear Sal. She has a series of trees that she, you know, there's one each for each of the seasons now. She's come out with all the other ones, but this was the second of the 4 trees. And this was Hello Dear, so it was the winter and Christmas Sal and tree for that series. So this is my finish. And look at that. It's been so long since I've like touched this and worked on it, so I don't even know really what to say about it. But I think the last section I was working on, if I'm remembering correctly, and if you just watched my previous video, you probably know better than I do. But I do believe I was working on like this stack of gifts right here. I think I maybe did this bottom part last. So, yeah, I'd have to like go back and remember kind of even what order I did everything, but she is beautiful. I did the Hello Pumpkin chart, the first of this series, kind of before this as well. So I have that one done. I don't have it here with me, but so this is my second of the 4. And like I said, she has come out with the spring and summer trees. And I do plan to do those, and I will talk about those in my WIPGO plans. But I wanted to show that finish. And I still don't know exactly what I'm going to do to fully finish these yet. So more to come on that as well. But got the stitching done there. So my next few finishes are ones that I finished here in the last few weeks. One was a start, or two of them technically are a start and a finish, and one of them was a start that I had a long time ago and got to finishing. So go over this one first. I've been working on this series since kind of when I first got into cross stitching and looking at different projects that, you know, Flosstubers were doing, and also stitching on linen. I think this wasn't the first thing I stitched on linen. I would really hope not, because it's like a dark fabric. But anyway, I'm working on the Brooks Books Publishing Advent Animals. It's a free series of charts. There's 25 charts for different animals, and it's, yeah, kind of like an Advent calendar series. So I had finished 2 of these before, and you know, at this rate, I was never going to get them done. So I went ahead and did the 3rd one here. Right over Christmas. I started it on December 23rd and finished it on December 27th. So right over Christmas there. And here it is. So excuse the hoop marks. I did iron this. I need to figure out a better way to get creases out of my fabrics. But this is Mary Mouse. She's the 3rd of the 25 designs. yeah, this is on blue spruce Belfast linen and stitched with the called for DMC threads. And the only thing I really changed about the chart was the edge that I'm doing this, for all of them. The edge was just supposed to be like a back stitch of this striped pattern, but I am doing kind of like a full stitch wide just to thicken that border up. I know I've mentioned this before, but I was inspired to do these after seeing Nell from Little Yellow House Crafts, and she did them on the same fabric, and she actually did like a 2-stitch wide border. So I kind of went something in between the original design and what she did there. So yeah, that is my my next finish from this time here in the last few weeks. I feel like I had something else to say. Oh, I forgot to mention, I guess that's what it was. With this Hello Dear, I stitched this on just white Belfast linen that I got at Hobby Lobby, and the called for DMC threads there. So nothing too exciting to report on that one. So then the last, the other 2 finishes that I have to share are technically part of the same chart. So let me grab it here. This is the Hands-On Design chock full chart. Sorry for the crinkle. I say that, but I love hearing people's crinkles in my videos. Maybe I'm weird. I'm just thinking, it's fun. So this is the Hands-On Design chock full series. And this is the Mary series. So there's 2 charts in every, 2 designs kind of in every chart. There's the jar design, and then there's like a mini or small design that kind of goes with it. So I had started the jar, let's see, it was back in November of 2020 is when I started the jar pattern. And then I finished that, and then I went ahead right away and started on this small design, the Little Mary, and I finished that in like 1 or 2 days, however you want to look at it. Started one day and finished it the next day. So here it is. Here they are. So here is the jar design. So it says Mary, and it's got little Santa heads. Get a little closer there. And then here is the small design. I also don't have like a board. My bad. Hopefully you can see it pretty well. So these are stitched on, or I'm going to stitch these on any chalkboard design I'm doing. I think I'm going to do on this fabric. And this is also kind of inspired by Nell from Little Yellow House Crafts. She uses the Belfast linen in charcoal. And so that's kind of what I started using. And I do really like it. It's not, there are some others that are maybe more ideal for chalkboard designs, but I think it does a great job. And it's pretty easy to get from like 1, 2, 3 stitch and stuff. And then in terms of the threads, the chart calls for Gentle Arts chalk for the white, and then all the other colors are Classic Colorworks. But I decided just to use kind of what I felt was necessary to kind of give any sort of variegated feel. So actually, for the white, I'm just using DMC Blanc, and then the tan, or like the skin color for Santa, and the green, I use just like the DMC conversions of whatever color was called for. But then the blue or the teal that was used for the jar, I used the called for Classic Colorworks, which was Really Tealy. And then for the Santa hats and little berries, that was Licorice Red from Classic Colorworks. And then those are, most of those colors are used here as well. I don't think the teal is used anywhere here, but otherwise everything else is used there too. And the jar is really kind of neat the way the pattern is written. The jar is stitched like 1/2. Sorry, I'm like not pulling it to the camera well enough. It's stitched 1/2, and instead of 2/2. So it gives that kind of transparent feel with, kind of it being a jar full of water. So I thought that was really neat. Yeah, I got both of those done. So I started this, like I said, November of 2020. I finished this on New Year's Eve, and I did a lot of stitching over New Year's weekend. I was actually kind of sick, and so it was like the perfect excuse to just sit around and stitch and not go anywhere. So I tested negative for COVID. Not that matters, but because like I said, I was staying home trying to get healthy, but I think it was just like a flu or like a bug or just like a bad cold or whatever. But yeah, and then so I finished this on New Year's Eve, and then I started this one on New Year's Eve, but wasn't quite able to finish it. So this was my first finish of 2022. I finished it on New Year's Day. So those are my finishes. All right. So that brings me to, normally I would just kind of go into like WIPs or things that I've worked on. But like I said, I'm going to talk about my 2022 plans, specifically as they relate to my WIPGO board. And that'll show, honestly, most of my WIPs anyway. And then, I'll kind of talk about maybe other plans or other things that I'm working on in future videos, since I haven't really worked on anything else either. I think any WIP that I've like touched, is definitely captured in these WIPGO plans. So if there is anything else, or not even WIPs, but like series that I've kind of got going on or anything, I'll just talk about those in a future video. So, all right. So WIPGO. If you haven't heard of WIPGO, or if you're not really like familiar with what it is, I won't go into the full details here, but I will refer you to, I should really know. I think it's, if I get it wrong, I'm so sorry, but I think it's Jessie Marie Does Stuff. Why don't I know this off the top of my head? Anyway, she, I believe, is the original creator of WIPGO and runs the WIPGO Facebook group, which is now currently called WIPGO 2022. She has a video that she put out specifically for 2022, even though she's been doing this, for a few years. So if you also just like search in YouTube WIPGO 2022, you should be able to find her video that kind of explains it, kind of the most recent explanation of it, I guess. So it is kind of like a bingo based game. You create a bingo card with your projects on it, and you like set some goals. And then the Facebook group, Jessie, she calls the numbers for each month. So every month there, so you have a 5x5 bingo board. I'll put mine up here just for visual reference if I haven't already done so. It's 5x5 bingo board. So you have 25 spots. And the middle one, number 13, or number 13, I guess, regardless of where you put it on your board, is like a free space, or you can put a project in there, but the way she calls the numbers is, it makes sense to use it as a free space. So over the 12 months, she'll call, 2 numbers each month. If 13 is the number that's called on any given month, she then draws a third number as well. So because it's a free space, then you still effectively have 2 numbers in that month. But if you do put a project, or 2 goals then that you're like working toward in that month, but if you do put a project in a goal in that number 13 spot, then you would have, then in the month that you would have number 13's goal, you would also have 2 other goals on top of that. So it just depends on how you want to do it. So I guess I'm gonna probably stick to how I am doing WIPGO for the rest of this video, just because there's so many options. You can definitely go check out her video on what WIPGO is, and maybe how different people have kind of what they've done. But this is my WIPGO board. If it's still up, or I'll put it back up here. And what I've done is put my WIPs kind of on this board. I don't have that many WIPs, or I have a lot of like series that I'm working on. And so what I've done is kind of either put the WIPs or the series in spots, but everything, any project or anything that's on here is on here at least twice. So I'll kind of go into, exactly, what that means for some of the goals. But yeah, I have all these projects. And so when they're called, they'll be called at least twice over the course of the year. They could be called in the same month even. And that's okay. The way I have my goals set up is I can kind of do that. So the numbers for January were 2 and 19. So based on my board, I did like a random, I like literally wrote on pieces of paper and like drew them out of a hat to determine what went in what square. Then now, Jesse's calling the numbers. So January's numbers are 2 and 19. And so my 2 projects there are the Advent Animals and the Winter Carriage Ride. So I'll start with those 2 since those are the January numbers and therefore my January goals. And then I'll go through the rest of the projects that I have on here and kind of my plans for those as well. So I'll start with my Winter Carriage Ride actually, only because there's more to show there. So this is a design by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is a whip that I started, let's see. Oh, it doesn't really matter when I started it, but I started it last winter. And this is what the design looks like. It's very cute. This is one of 4 designs they have in kind of like a seasonal series where it says like the name of the season and then it has a little scene and then some like border designs and everything. Oh, you can hear my pupper pitter pattering over here. Yeah, hello. Hello. You say hi to Flosstube? Hello. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Hello. All right. Anyway, back to the show. So, yeah, it has a little scene and everything. And so, when I started it last year and kind of where I left it off before, just not stitching on it for quite some time, I had gotten most of that like border done kind of before getting to like the actual scene. And I really didn't work on it because I was working on some of these other projects. I really hadn't worked on it until January. Here, I didn't really start working on it. I didn't set up my WIPGO board like right away. I set it up like just a few days ago actually. But I was working on this project, but I didn't purposely put it in a spot that had the number already called. But it kind of worked out that way because I was kind of working on it in January and I was effectively working toward my goal. But yeah, so this is my project my progress on it. So here is that. So yeah, I think, I can't remember what it looked like the last time I showed for sure, but, when I picked it up for the first time in a while, I was maybe finishing this like teal, this darker teal line here. Maybe I'd started in the snow. I can't quite remember, kind of this like snow underneath the scene here. But definitely the progress I've done, I started on the horse. I didn't have any of the horse done. So I started on the horse and kind of worked my way up and then, kind of starting over here, kind of went over with the houses in the back and then, started on the carriage or the little people there. So what I still have left, with these wheels and there's like a little bit, I think there's another like tree kind of over here. And so a little bit over there. And then definitely everything from like the border, kind of that's right above the scene and up with the word winter and everything. I still have all of that. So, like I said, everything that is on my board is on there at least twice. So with Winter Carriage Ride, I have this on the board twice. And what I did was I kind of determined 2 like stopping points, or really like 1 stopping point. And then the first time it's called, the goal will be to get to that point. And then the next time it's called, the goal will be to finish it. So in January here, my goal is to do the bottom of the chart. So I'll probably cover it with my face, but I'm going to put my goals here for the Winter Carriage Ride. So it says bottom of the chart. And how I'm defining that is really like that very first line that's kind of above the scene there. Everything everything below that line, not including that line, is going to be considered the bottom of the chart. And everything, including that line and above, is going to be kind of part of that secondary goal. So as you can see, I've definitely worked, quite a bit on that goal here in January, of that first goal, getting through that seam before starting on that kind of line, before the words above. But yeah, that is one of my goals for this year, is to get this project finished. You can see, yeah, it's just a really fun scene. I love the color palette of this one. That's actually really why I decided to do this series. I bought all 4 patterns, and this is the first one I've worked on. I'm not in a real rush to get all of them done, but I definitely plan on doing all of them. So, yeah, this is on. Let me look at this one up real quick. Or you know what? I decided. I think I'm just because I have so much to go over today. I'll go into details more about the project in the next video, but I think I started this one before. I know I showed it in my videos before, so you can go to the past video and look at, or, hear all the details there too. So the other, project the other number that was called, so that was number 19. The other number that was called was number 2, and that was my Advent animals. And this, series, I put the series on my WIPGO board 4 times. So I have 4 goals associated with this series. And really, those, you saw the design. They're all really small designs. I can get them done in a few days, as you saw with my Merry Mouse. So my goals, here, I'll put them here. My goals are to get the next 4 done with those, associated with those 4 times that it's going to be called on the WIPGO board. So I definitely might, get more done, but my goal is that at the end of the year, I'll have at least 4 more done. So my first goal, another goal that I have here in January is to get number 4 Dunkin' Dog done. So that's where you can see, my color coding, or my, symbols and everything. Basically, if it has that red, kind of exclamation point symbol, that means that it's a number that's called, but I have not finished it yet. And then I'll put my overall WIPGO board here. You can see that green check mark in the free space. That green check mark will be if I've completed the goal. Whether the number's been called or not, I will signify the goal being done with that green check mark. So yeah, this will be Dunkin' Dog, and it's kind of maybe hard to see, but I printed off just the floss, color code and all that. I don't have the actual pattern. This is just some backstitch information. But yeah, this is Dunkin' Dog, and it's so cute. He's got this little bone, and there's a little bow. Okay, sorry, I was interrupted there. So I'm back, and I have Mulligan back on my lap again. You funny face, you. So yeah, I think I was just showing off Dunkin' Dog. He was maybe just getting a little jealous. But that's Dunkin' Dog. And yeah, I'll be finishing him in January. I don't have, or I could put them in here, I guess, but like I said, trying to keep the video relatively short, knowing how much I have to go over today. So you'll be seeing the next few designs in future videos as well. Or you can go check them out too at Brooke's Books Publishing website. You can find them on there. I can't remember exactly how to get to them or anything, but yeah, like I said, those are free charts from her out there. So, and using all the same fabric and called for DMC threads and everything like that. So those are the 2 January projects, and I have. Let me think here. I think I have 5 other unique. Hello. I have 5 other unique things. I think it's 5. On my, I'll get through them all. I know I'll touch them on them all. So I think it's 5 unique other things on my WIPGO board that could be called at any time. So I'll go through the next few. There are also kind of whips where I have things that I'm working on. They'll just be, kind of additional parts to that, and potentially even finishes. So the next thing that I'll kind of talk about that's on there is the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Christmas Wreath. This was a Sal. I'll put a picture of the end here. But this was a mystery stitch along that the Frosted Pumpkins did, starting at the end of 2020. I think it technically started in 2020, but it was really going on most of 2021, kind of coming up with the series. I know a lot of people did this, so probably nothing new here. But I actually was keeping up with the Sal pretty well before I did kind of stop stitching. And then this was actually one of the projects that I was kind of picking back up. Excuse me. Was kind of picking back up a little more often when I was trying to get back into stitching. So I wasn't making a ton of progress on it at any given time, but I was touching it fairly frequently and kept kind of working on it. So I put a lot of work into it here in the last few weeks as well, on top of some of those finishes and everything. So I will show you where I am. So I remember right after we moved, so I can't remember where I was at in the last video, but I think right after we moved, I remember around that time, I remember working on Santa's beard and Santa's face. So I know I was somewhere around here, kind of back in that time. So that might have been where I showed it last time. So I really put in a lot of work recently. Especially I was kind of maybe I got through this gift. I think this is kind of what took me, or I was working on it a long time, working on that gift and this ornament. I was really just struggling through that. But then the last few weeks I really kind of ramped up and did all of this right here up to, really about where that halfway or the middle, point of the top of the wreath is. And so, I have kind of set it aside for a while just to kind of work on some other things. But this is on my WIPGO board 4 times, on there. And, I don't have all the specific kind of breaking points for the different clues, the different parts. But I'll just kind of wing it approximately. I'll still get through the rest of it by the end of the year, based on my goals. But I believe there was 10 stitching parts that they broke it into, and then the 11th clue was how to finish it into a pillow. But I think clue 6 got you through kind of about this point, and then clues 7, 8, 9, and 10 were the other half of the wreath over here. And so those are going to be my 4 goals, is to get through kind of each of the clues as those are called, or by the time they're called, by the end of the month they're called. So each time, maybe I didn't explain this with the other ones, but each of the squares that it's on the WIPGO board, they're because there's at least 2 of every project, I can say this kind of for all of them. None of the squares are associated with a specific part of the project. It's just more of the matter of when, the order that they're called in. So, it doesn't matter. So for example, I know Winter Carriage Ride was number 19. And then I think the other number was 24 maybe for that one. I was just studying my WIPGO board. I don't remember any of the numbers that this is, but I think for Winter Carriage Ride, it was those 2 numbers. So it wouldn't have mattered if number 19 or 24 was called. I was still going to work on the bottom of the chart. And then once the other one's called, then I'll work on the top chart and finish it. And all my goals are kind of like that, where, I'll work in the order. I'm not going to do part 9 over here just because a specific, square is called. So that might be an obvious thing too. But that's kind of how I'm doing it, where, it could show up, in any of these spots, but the order that I do the work in is still going to be the same. Yeah, this one's really fun. I love this fabric. Sorry for all the wrinkles. Only finished projects get the honor of being ironed. That's how I'm deciding it. But yeah, I will talk about the fabric. This is Belfast linen in gingerbread, so that's a fun fabric. And then I'll talk about some other kind of things with this one in a future video. Maybe next time I have some progress on it, I'll just touch on some of the changes that I made, or some of the comments I guess that I wanted to make about that one. So then the last, I guess, WIP that I currently have going that kind of follows that same pattern of like finish related goals is the, it's my Modern Folk Embroidery Fruit of Plenty 2021 stitch along that was going on. So obviously 2021 is done. The stitch along is over. Many people did great at keeping up with the stitch along and getting theirs done. I was following like the hashtag MFE 2021 Sal or whatever the specific hashtag was on Instagram, and that one popped up so much. It was so popular and I loved every single one. I did not keep up as much. I know in my last video I had just started this one. I'll have already placed a picture here of the finished design. But yeah, I had just started the January block, and that was kind of towards the end of February when I did that. So I knew I wasn't going to keep up. I knew I wasn't going to, stay on top of it, but I was also hoping to be a little bit farther than I am now at this point. But what I do have done is the January block. I finished this actually quite a while ago. This was also one that I know I was working on it kind of in those weeks after my last video, but before kind of things really got crazy. And then this was one I do remember specifically working on this, after we moved as well. So I know I put some effort into kind of finishing the January block and getting that finished. Not in the recent weeks, but kind of in that summer maybe time frame. So without further ado, here is my January, and then a little bit onto February, but just enough to keep it going and finish the threads and everything. But there's my January. So I know I talked about some of this in my last video, because I did go back and watch a little bit of it, but I am using two different purples from DMC. It is the darker purple is I think it's 550, and then the lighter purple is, I didn't even label my floss tags. That's how little you need to actually know the numbers here. But yeah, I got a bunch of floss for it. So 550 and 553 are the two colors that I'm using. And look, I just love this darker purple. I just love it. It's so pretty. This is a nice offset to it with the lighter. And then, I talked about in my last video, I am using some gold Carriage. This is the only spool I have, so I'm definitely going to need to get more, and hopefully it's not too different. I don't know if like a dye lots are a thing with Carriage, but I have to imagine it still is applicable. But yeah, I wanted to incorporate this a little bit throughout the chart. So in this January square or block, it's kind of easy to incorporate. I used that gold to do the bowl of fruit. So the bowl that was holding the bowl of fruit, so it's like a gold bowl. Thought that was nice. And I know I think I'm correct. I think the December, I don't know why I need to pull this up, but I think the December block is the very last kind of the opposite block of this. Also has like a bowl of fruit, so it's a slightly different bowl, but I'll also do the gold there. And then there's, other things throughout the chart that I have already kind of determined what I think I want to make the gold. But I will, see how they look as I do them and, adjust where needed. So have the January done. So this appears on my WIPGO board 4 times, as well. And my goals for those 4 squares are really going to be 4 more months. So you have January here, there'll be February, March, and then April comes down here. So, my 4 goals are really the February, March, April, and May blocks. And, I obviously was kind of keeping 2 round numbers here, or, I guess not round, even numbers to fill up my board. But I think a secondary goal, depending on we'll see how the year goes. We'll see what happens. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but, if those are called at kind of good intervals throughout the year, if I am able to kind of meet those goals pretty easily, because I think that's going to be a lot. So I think if like 2 of these were to be called in 1 month, that might be a bit much. Maybe like the only thing I work on probably, because this is a lot of stitching. But if I can get through them, pretty easily, meet my goals, and they're called kind of at a good variety throughout the year. My secondary goal, I think, is going to also be getting the June one done, so that at the end of the year I have like officially half of the chart done. And then for 2023, my goals can be, the other 6 blocks, and getting the second half of it done. So, yeah, that's my goal. If I find myself working on it, a lot, I might even surpass that, but I think that's maybe a good kind of interim, challenging, but, doable goal, to just get through like half of it. That's my goal there. So my, the last item that's on my WIPGO board that is kind of in that same fashion, in terms of like the finishing goals. So my goal is to finish a certain part of the stitching, whether it be like a, thing. So the last item that I have that is kind of that format is the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Hello series. So I showed you my finish of Hello Deer earlier. I said that I had Hello Pumpkin, that I had finished a while back. And as I mentioned, Sally, Caterpillar Cross Stitch, came out with the Hello Petal and Hello Sunshine charts this last year. I don't remember the exact timing on either of them. I think I had purchased Hello Petal. I think that, it come out early enough that I purchased it, but hadn't quite started it. It wasn't quite spring yet, and then it was, and then I stopped. And then Hello Sunshine, I think, was a sale that happened kind of through the summer, or, spring into summer. I can't remember the timing, but both of those charts are out and available now. And so I have purchased them, and I'm planning to do them, and they are part of my plans. So I do want to do them in that order for whatever reason, because that's just the way my brain works. I want to do Hello Petal, and then I want to do Hello Sunshine. I don't want to work on them simultaneously, but I do want to, get both of them done. So I decided to combine these into like one category, for the purposes of my WIPGO board. And then these are on my board category is on my board 6 times. And here are the goals then that kind of are associated with the 6 times. So each of the charts is broken into 3 goals. And I think maybe I'll put the pictures in there earlier, while I'm talking about them. Anyway, so the first goal that will be of either of the tree is the trunk. And I'll put up the pictures of the chart again, or the design. So if you can see, there's like the trunk of the tree, and then there's like the grass with, kind of the bigger items, or motifs kind of like on the grass. So with the Hello Petal, there's the sheep, I know, and then I believe it's like a bowl or, a nest of eggs and, a bird, I think. A bird makes sense, I guess, there. On the Hello Petal, on that bottom part. And then on Hello Sunshine, it is the flamingo and like the flowers on the other side there. So the first goal for either of them will be like getting that trunk done, the grass, and then those kind of bigger motifs, there at the bottom. And then the other 2 goals kind of within each of those charts will be like essentially half and half of the top part of the tree. So, oh my gosh, excuse me. If you look at it closely, I'm not sure if that's really like an even way to split up the design, but I thought that was a way, like at least kind of a more logical goal in terms of like how to break it apart. In terms of the top of the tree too, I think I even say like left and right. I'll probably see how that goes. If I feel like it makes more sense to do like half of it going upward, kind of stemming from the trunk, or if I truly want to do left and right, or maybe I do like kind of around. The goal will really just to be like get half of the stitching done of the top part of the tree, and then do the other half for the other time it's called. So, I would actually be a little surprised if there isn't a month where like 2 of these 6 get called in the same month. It's very possible that might happen. So in that case, it'll be a lot of stitching on, this particular piece for the month, but hopefully they're still spread out enough, to yeah, to make it a little more fun and exciting. And I do definitely plan on getting these done. I think, you know, these are really fun patterns to stitch. If you have not stitched a caterpillar cross stitch design, they're so fun. The colors are so bright and cheery, and the motifs are fun. You just get little finishes here and there, and it's just a lot of fun. So how many times can I say the word fun, right? I gotta get more creative. Entertaining. Yeah, I'm really bad. I'm really bad at thesaurus. But, gosh, sometimes you say things and you're like, what am I saying? Anyway, I can definitely see myself as we get closer to spring, and as we get into, you know, summer too, I will want to work on these. I will want to get them done. So I have no reservations about kind of achieving those goals for those 2 charts. So those are my last like finish related goals with my stitches. The other 2 projects that are on my WIPGO board, they are each on there twice. So again, everything is at least there twice. But these goals are a little bit different because these are both 2 projects that I've started, but I haven't gotten very far. And, you know, they're not really ones that like I'm dying to work on right now. And I mean, I think a part of it's like the seasonal aspect. I've been, you know, even, you know, last year I was stitching a lot during the winter months, kind of Christmas, January, February, and then, you know, I kind of stopped stitching, and then now I'm back with like Christmas and, you know, January, and, you know, kind of in the winter again. And so I hope that's not like a pattern, like I only stitch during the winter kind of thing. One second, I got to tickle my throat. So yeah, what I was saying was that these 2 charts, I've started them. They are a WIP, but I'm not very far in them. And I feel like trying to set a goal based on like the amount of stitching is hard. And I'm not like quite drawn to them yet. And I really want to get ramping up on them. So instead of having a finish related goal, you know, I'm going to have a like number of days that I'm going to work on it goal. So, I will talk about those 2 projects here. The first one is the Celebrate 4th of July by Madame Chantilly. And I do have the chart here. So I can show the cover there. And this is, yeah, Madame Chantilly. And I started this last year at the beginning of March. I don't think I had a start on this before my last video. So this is a new start, technically, since my last video. And it is part of the Celebrate Chantilly Sal that Evelyn across the pond and Megan, Georgia Girl Stitching, started together for these tiered trays. So she has this whole series of celebrate, you know, holiday or celebrate season. And I chose the 4th of July one, and I can't even remember why this one specifically. You know, I love all of the charts. I think I just wanted maybe one that was more like summer themed to come up, or, you know, summer related. And so, yeah, I chose the 4th of July one, and yeah, I got to start on it last year, but, you know, just didn't make it very far. So I will show my progress now, and it's actually in my Q snap, and I'll explain why maybe in a second. But yeah, so I have a start, not very much, but I started on the 4th, and then this is like the beginning of the J there for July. And I believe last year when I did start it, I think I posted about it on my Instagram. I had the 4, the T, and then most of the H done through kind of right here. And then just last night I was working on this, and yeah, like I said, I'll explain why in a second, not that it's that important. But I finished the H and then did the of, and then I started down here. I was trying to finish up a Flosstube video, and so I just wanted something to grab and stitch. But I pretty much always use my iPad for patterns if it's a PDF pattern, or you know, yeah, if I get it online. I prefer the PDF pattern, and then if I can get it that way, I will put it in Google Drive, and I kind of have all my cross stitch patterns there, and I use my iPad to reference for all of my stitching. I don't mark off stitches. I don't do any full coverage pieces, I guess, yet. But yeah, I use my iPad for that. And we were out of town this weekend, using my iPad on the road. I don't have a great spot to plug in my iPad in my stitching spot. I need to figure that out because that would be very handy. It's not hard. I just need to, get some extension cord stuff figured out, but get that kind of all set up. So my iPad actually didn't quite die, but it got down to like 1%. And oh, my bad. This around right now. But it got down to like 1%, and yeah, I knew it was gonna die, and so I didn't want to start on the next section that I needed. I think I was working on my winter carriage ride before that, and so instead I grabbed this because this is actually like the only WIP that I had kind of like already started, that I had like the paper chart. So I broke this one out and worked on this. Yeah, I definitely have other paper charts. Like I have this entire chock full series, as paper charts, and I have the others. There's 7 designs total, or 7 like charts, 14 designs total. And I have the other 6 that I haven't started, and the paper, and I have fabric for a few of them, and fabric and floss for several of them. But I didn't want to like do a new start. I just wanted to kind of like keep working on something I'd already started. So yeah, I worked on this one. But yeah, so back to WIPGO goals. With WIPGO, I have this on the board twice, and the goal with this will be to stitch on it for 5 days, preferably for like at least an hour each day, but really like dedicate like that day's stitching, to this. Like unless it's a weekend day, then I might, if I work on it for like a couple hours and then switch to something else, that'll be okay. But yeah, 5 days where I put some like solid stitching into this piece, and I will do that for each time it's called. So on the off chance that like this project is called, or the numbers for this project are called in the same month, I will work on it for 10 days during that month. So that's kind of probably a low likelihood that that'll happen. But yeah, hopefully that will give me just like enough, kind of boost to get this really going. Get this really going and work up. I think Megan said that she kind of recommends like doing the tray first. I don't know. I'm strange. I like to start charts on the bottom left for whatever reason. I'm good with numbers. I'm an actuary. I'm good with numbers. So measuring, and starting the right spot, I feel pretty confident in doing that. I make sure to measure and look at my fabric and everything beforehand. So I know I'm starting in the right spot, and then I just think from there, like, it just makes more sense for me to do like bottom left and work up. So that's why I'm doing the words first, and then I will do the tray, and then start filling in the tray. So, I think even if I don't work on it before those 5 days, those 5 days might be a little rough if I'm just like working on the tray. But, if that's my goal for that month, and I will do it. So yeah, a minimum of 10 days will be spent on this chart, specifically in those months that the numbers are called. So, that's kind of one thing with like the rest of my goals. I could get them done kind of before the month they're called, and, then there's really no like time associated with them. But I mean, I could work on this like the entirety of the month of July, just because it's, that month's, it's the 4th of July. It's a July thing, or maybe June, like leading up to July. And, yeah, so let's say I work on it like all of June in preparation for 4th of July. I'm just like in that mood. And then July, the number gets called, and I'm like sick of working on this. But in July, if that number's called, I'm going to work on it for those 5 days, in July. So doesn't matter. All the work I did on it in June doesn't really count. In July, I will stitch on it the 5 days, versus the other goals. It's like, well, if I finish the goal, I finish the goal. I can, maybe try to get ahead on the next goal for that particular project if I want, but, I don't need to. It's, the goal is done. So, that's something a little more unique about, these goals. And then, the other chart that I have, that's kind of, my goals are similar in the sense where it's on the chart twice. It's on the WIPGO board twice. And, my goal is to work on it for 5 days each time it's called. That I already had it unzipped. I didn't need to unzip it. This one is the Augusta National Golf Course chart. I'll put a picture of it here. This is from Awesome Pattern Studio, I think. It'll be there. And it's on Etsy. And this is actually a chart that I'm going to stitch for my husband, and who is, just a huge golf fan. If you're familiar with golf terms at all, you'll know that our dog Mulligan is named after a golf term. And so big golf fan there. And Augusta is where the Masters are played every year, and that's a big, very prestigious golf tournament. And so, I just thought it'd be fun to kind of like stitch this for him and have it be something he can like put in his office, or, just like have somewhere in the house here. So there's a little more backstory with this, and maybe I'll talk about that in a future video, but I had started this, and then, I'm like restarting it. So I'll go into more detail about that, but I have not gotten a very good start on this. Like, I started it for the sake of restarting it, but I have not like worked on it. So that's, it's another one where it's like, I started it, I have a few stitches in it, but I'm just not very far. And, I don't want to set goals that, don't really make sense, or don't really, I'm not really sure what it's going to take to achieve that. So my goal is just to work on this. I do see myself maybe working on this more in the summer when, my husband is, actually golfing, like on a day he's gone golfing and I'm just at home. I might be, stitching on this, just to kind of, it's just that's the mood for the day. Since he's out golfing, I'll stitch on my golf piece for him. That'll also be 5 days and 5 days, based on when it's called, kind of goal. So those are my WIPGO goals. Now that I think about it, I don't think I ever really settled on a final plan. My dog is like shoving his hands into my back right now. His paws in my bed. I don't think I completely like finalized a plan for this yet. But I'm trying to think of ways to like give myself incentives for like meeting the goals essentially throughout the year, and really try to play off like the bingo card. Like the bingo aspect of it. So, there's the goals, and then, your goals, are to achieve the goals that you set for those months. So I have the winter carriage ride, through that first half. And then, I have the avid animals, the Duncan dog. So, if I meet those two goals in January, that's great. If I only meet one of them, that's great too. But then, do I reward myself for each individual goal? Do I reward myself for, kind of the month's goals? So if I meet both of the goals for the month, do I, kind of get something? Or, what I'm kind of leaning toward is doing something that's more related to the, the actual achieving of bingos. So like 5 in a row bingos. And, do I do something where, any month that I get a bingo with my goals, like if I finish a goal and get and get a 5 in a row by completing that goal, in that month, maybe I reward myself, or, do I only get to mark off that square if I get the goal done by the month that it gets called? Otherwise it like stays, a yellow check mark. Like it's done, but it got done late kind of thing. So I still have to finalize kind of exactly how I want to do like the reward system with that. But I definitely, still have a couple weeks even before January's over. And exactly what I'm rewarding myself in or with, I think a new start, is definitely always like a good reward. But even just like the ability to, kit something up without, kind of giving myself permission to like kit up a future project, without, real plans to start it, but just like have it in my stash so that when I am want to start it, or, if I do kind of Stitch Mania or Stitch Sania or something, like that I have something already kind of kitted up and ready to go, instead of just pulling from my existing stash. So just some different things to consider there for how I want to kind of incentivize myself. But I knew I wanted to participate with the WIPGO. I think it's a really good like kickoff to the year, and just like keeping me on track too. Not that, stitching should ever feel like stressful and you keep on track, but I know how last year went with getting distracted with, you know, various things going on. And so there's like some goals that I can set for myself. And, you know, if life happens, life happens. It is what it is. But I think having some goals too might bring me back like, okay, I really want to get this goal done so that I can reward myself. Because, you know, even during the busyness and the fact that I wasn't stitching during lots of parts of 2021, I still wanted to stitch. I still wanted to get back to the point where I was stitching more. You know, clearly I'm back now, right? So, if I get off track with a little bit with my goals, you know, hopefully just having the goals will help me get back into, you know, being on track. And yeah, we'll see. Well, I'm excited to see how 2022 goes. So thank you for coming back to my channel and watching this whole video. If you're still here at this point, thank you. Glad you're here. Glad I'm back. Glad you can join me on this journey. And this is going to be probably well over an hour, which is totally okay. Hopefully the next one's not quite as long. As you can tell, I can't stop smiling. I'm like so excited to be back. And I'm just going to stop saying that because I could just like go on forever about it. But yeah, thank you again. And I will see you in a few weeks. I don't have any specific, gosh, I'm going to keep talking. I don't have any specific plans on like when I'm going to film the Flosstube now, because I don't want to get too like prescriptive in my plans from that perspective, because then I don't know, I'm the type of person that, you know, maybe as you can tell, if I don't quite like stick to my plan 100%, then, you know, I can't do it at all, right? Like if I have to film, like if I say I'm going to film in 3 weeks and I don't film in 3 weeks, I'm just going to stop Flosstubing altogether. And like, I know that about myself, and I'm getting better about that about myself. Like I just, you know, just because I like don't quite do something according to my plan doesn't mean I need to like stop it altogether. But yeah, so all that to say that if, you know, if I set a timeline for myself, I'd feel like I'd be really discouraged if I decided, or, you know, if that I didn't quite make that timeline. So I'll probably report back in a few weeks, especially if I have some progress, or if I, you know, finish my January WIPGO goals. That might be a good time to film another video. I'll probably wait at least a few weeks so that I have, you know, a good amount of stitching to share. But yeah, it could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, could be a month. We'll just play it by ear and see kind of what makes the most sense now that I'm free of exams, free of studying. Don't have that going on. But yeah, with the new year and new everything, we'll see where life brings us. So I'll stop talking now, stop rambling. I'll let you guys go. But thank you again for being here, and I will see you in the next one.